Hello, Internet. Hey, what's up? So, I am Scars MacNeil. I am a 53-year-old student at Full Sail. This won't be my first time hearing High Ren. I guess you could call me a renegade. I discovered him February of 23 when High Ren came out, came across my social media feed, and I watched it at that time. But what I'm going to do is a deep dive analysis of and deconstructing what's going on with the branding and the performance of this song that resonates so much with so many people. And I want to give just a little bit of context on that before I dive into the video, so bear with me. So going back about 10 years ago, I had this idea what I wanted to do musically. I'm a musician and a producer, and I work with multimedia. I like to build sets and cool, and I had this idea for immersive productions, but I did not have the business acumen. So I started to do a deep dive, independent research on basically like an MBA curriculum for entertainment and music. Lucky enough, as fate would have it, in the first 12, 15 books that I got, two really, really good important ones are these two here. There it is. All right. So, Brand Sense and Biology by Martin Lindstrom. Martin, I believe he's Danish, and he conducted the world's first neuromarketing study. And they weren't really interested in hacking like the human brain or anything, nothing, dark or ominous like that. They just wanted to know what was really effective when it came to advertising and marketing and what people really connected to. And when they hooked people's brains up to EKGs and MRI machines and they exposed them all this, what they realized is that 95% of the strategies and money that are currently used for advertising are as good as just putting it on the stove and lighting it on fire. It's wasted money. It doesn't connect. And as time went on and I got deeper and deeper and deeper into my research, I started to get all these ideas about what I needed to do in my art in order to really connect. And I wasn't seeing any artists out there doing it. And I actually did about a breakdown about 200 different artists going back, probably about 2 years after I got into this. And I was looking for what are their brands consisted of. And the only complete brand, Martin identifies 10 pillars. And I call them, when I talk to other artists, I call them emotional pillars. But I'll just give this to you up front and then we'll get into the video. So there's a clear vision, sense of belonging, stories, evangelism, grandeur, mystique, symbols, rituals, sensory appeal, and juxtaposition, and enemies, or juxtaposition or enemies. Now he says enemies. I say I include juxtaposition because a lot of times that's what it is. You don't have to be a true enemy. And all things religious are branded immensely well. That's a mega brand, as Martin would term it. But anyhow, so I had all these theories, and I'd never seen a musician get anywhere close to doing it other than, of all people, and I've got to take my hat off to the Juggalos and ICP, the Insane Clown Posse. They have a perfect brand. Now, in some of their earlier material, I would have to go back and reevaluate. They might come close, but I don't know if anyone's ever done it in a performance and a song like Ren did with High Ren. I mean, it's flawless execution. If this was Mortal Kombat, flawless victory, fatality. the dude killed it. So we're going to go through this video, and I'll stop once in the middle, and I will, I always watching, went way down the Ren rabbit hole and watched a ton of reactors. I seen all of you guys, or most of you, yeah. We all, Renegades hate it when you talk over Ren. It's like, give him his respect. So anyhow, I'm going to get into this, and then I will, if you're interested in the deep branding breakdown, I will go back through and hit that at the end. So without further ado, let's get this going here. And we'll bring our boy up. Alright, I'm going to pause it right there. So first thing that happens is he's brought in, and you've got, the pig mask, which is a symbol. It's sensory appeal. You've got him wearing the medical gown, so as a clear vision, he's sick boy for his brand. Also, it is a sense of belonging, and it's sensory appeal, and it's a symbol. It's something that everybody can relate to because we've all been in one of those gowns. The setting is amazing. The lighting, that aspect of everything. So he hits you with a surprise, and then the obvious talent. Now, what I want to say before this next part kicks in, and I'll keep it short, on the musical end of things, this little choral bit that he's about to do, this theme has been used in music going back centuries as a theme, a musical theme for the battle between the forces of good and evil. So before we even get into the song, psychologically, he's triggering us that, hey, there's something deeper that's about to go on here. And we recognize that through that thing. He also sings in a way that there's a musical concept where a lot of times they will put in a sound that is somewhat irritating in a song, and it scratches and tickles your nervous system and lights you up and gets, like, opens up your conduits, like, get ready to receive the good stuff that's about to come. So let's get back. The WTF moment.
Hi there, Ren. It's been a little while. Did you miss me? You thought you buried me, didn't you? Risky. Cause I always come back. Deep down you know that. Deep down you know I'm always in periphery. Ren, on your pleased to see me. It's been weeks since we spoke, bro. I know you need me. You're the sheep, I'm the shepherd. Not your place to lead me. Not your place to be biting off the hand that feeds me.
Hi, Ren. I've been taking some time to be distant. I've been taking some time to be still. I've been taking some time to be by myself since my therapist told me I'm ill. And I've been making some progress lately, and I've learned some new coping skills. So I haven't really needed you much, man. I think we need to just step back and chill.
Ren, you sound more insane than I do. You think that those doctors are really there to guide you? Been through this a million times. Your civilian mind is so perfect, you're always being lied to. Okay, take another pill, boy. Drown yourself in the sound of white noise. Follow this 10-step program, rejoice. All your problems will be gone. Fucking dumb boy.
Nah, mate, this time is different, man, trust me. I feel like things might be falling in place. And my music's been kinda doing bits too. Like I actually might do something great. And when I'm gone, maybe I'll be remembered for doing something special with myself. That's why I don't think that we should talk, man. Cause when you're with me, it never seems to help.
You think that you can amputate me? I am you, you are me, you are I am we are one. Split in two, that makes one, so you see. You gotta kill you if you wanna kill me. I'm not leftover dinner, I'm not scraps on the side. Oh, your music is thriving, delusional guy. Where's your top 10 hit? Where's your interview with Oprah? Where are your Grammys, Ren? Nowhere.
Yeah, but my music's not commercial like.
Alright, so I want to hit on another concept. Now, there's 2 books here. Well, actually 3. I had to grab some of my library and bring it out here. So there's this book here by Nancy Duarte, Resonate, which is how to create performances that really resonate and strike with people. And she breaks down Beatles songs, Steve Jobs, Apple rollouts, and Martin Luther King speeches and stuff like that. Couple of the concepts in there, dude, flawless execution on his part on that book. There's this book here, which covers concepts from there, as well as concepts from this book here. This is an amazing book for people who can't read music. It's a giant, thick one. But, yeah, how music really works. And then, God, where is it? No. So, alright, yeah, here we go. And then this one, The Hero of 1,000 Faces, Joseph Campbell. So those books there, just to deal with this part up till now. So one of the things in Resonate, the Nancy Duarte book that they talk about, is it's guilt by association. All right, so when you're like in hip hop, they do it all the time. When you call out brands, people, or things that people are already emotionally attached to, Cristal, Gucci, Lamborghinis, whatever the buzz is for that song, they'll do that, and that in the mind of the audience will start to associate that performer on that level of fame or status. And it's also a move of grandeur. It's a move of familiarity. One of the other things that he does great is the juxtaposition, the back and the forth. And then musically speaking, when he goes to the dark side, the dark side, his playing, I believe, and I could be wrong, but I am pretty sure on this, that he's playing the diminished fifth, which was the devil's chord, which was outlawed back in the 1800s, I want to say. So there's stuff that's going on in the deconstruction of this song that already prepare us, or that continue this emotional connection to his message, as well as, everyone can relate to this battle inside their head, or at least everyone who's had any amount of trauma or issues. But that's another thing. So let's get back into the boy wonder. He's not really a boy. He's 34 now?
Like that. I never chase numbers, statistics or stats. I never write hooks for the radio, they never even play me, so why would I concern myself with that? But my music is really connecting, and the people who find it respect it. And for me that's enough, cause this life's been tough, so it gives me a purpose I can rest in.
Man, you sound so pretentious. Ren, your music is so self-centered. No one wants to hear another song about how much you hate yourself.
Trust me.
You should be so lucky, having me inside you to guide you, remind you to manage expectations, provide you perspective. That thing you neglected, I get it. You wanna be a big deal, next Jimi Hendrix, forget it.
Man, it's not like that.
Man, it's just like that, I'm inside you, you twat.
No, it's not, man, you're wrong. When I write, I belong.
Let me break the fourth wall by acknowledging this song. Ren sits down, has a stroke of genius. He wants to write a song that was not done previous. A battle with the subconscious, Eminem did it.
Played on guitar.
Plan B did it.
Man, you're not original, you criminal rip-off artist. The pinnacle of your success is stealing other people's material.
Ren, mate, we've heard it all before. She sells seashells on the seashore.
Fuck you, I don't need you, I don't need to hear this. Cause I'm fine by myself, I'm a genius. And I will be great, and I will make waves. And I'll shake up the whole world beneath us.
That's right, speak your truth, your fucking god complex leaks out of you. It's refreshing to ask for you, say it instead of downplay it.
Music is all about the creative process, and if people can find something to relate to within that, then that's just a bonus.
Fuck you, I'ma fucking kill you, Ren.
Well, fucking kill me then, let's fucking have you, Ren.
I'ma do it, watch me prove it. Who are you to doubt my music? Cause I call the shots, I choose if you die. Yeah, I call the shots and so I choose who survives. I'll tie you up in knots when I lock you inside. Newsflash. I was created at the dawn of creation. I am temptation. I am the snake in Eden. I am the reason for treason, beheading all kings. I am sin, with no rhyme or reason.
Son of the morning, Lucifer, Antichrist, father of lies. Mephistophelies, truth in a blender, deceitful pretender, the banished avenger, the righteous surrender. When standing in front of my solar eclipse, my name is stitched to your lips. So you see, I won't bow to the will of a mortal, feeble and normal. You wanna kill me? I'm eternal immortal. I live in every decision that catalyzes chaos, that causes division. I live inside death, the beginning of ends. I am you, you are me, I am you, Ren.
So again, in that crescendo part, that whole entire time, he's playing dissonant chords. And when he gets to that final roll there, he's playing them in a way that is sustaining the discomfort that we have. Your nervous system is just begging you to get beyond that point. There's other things too. In one ear, he's wearing the cross. And then the other ear, he just has the hoop, which is a juxtaposition. There's like a male and female. There's the religious versus non-religious. But we'll get back to that. We're about to break this down.
Hi, Ren. I've been taking some time to be distant. I've been taking some time to be still. I've been taking some time to be by myself, and I've spent half my life ill. But just as sure as the tide starts turning, just as sure as the night has dawned, just as sure as the rainfall soon runs dry when you stand in an eye of a storm. I was made to be tested and twisted. I was made to be broken and beat. I was made by his hand, it's all part of his plan that I stand on my own 2 feet. And you know me, my will is eternal.
Such a goosebump.
And you know me, you've met me before. Face to face with a beast, I will rise from the east and I'll settle on the ocean floor. And I go by many names also. Some people know me as hope. Some people know me as the voice that you hear when you loosen the noose on the rope. And you know how I know that I'll prosper? Cause I stand here beside you today. I have stood in the flames that cremated my brain, and I didn't once flinch or shake. So cower at the man I've become when I sing from the top of my lungs, that I won't retire, I'll stand in your fire, inspired by me to be strong. And when I am gone I will rise in the music that I left behind. Ferocious, persistent, immortal like you, we're a climate different side. When I was 17 years old, I shouted out into an empty room, into a blank canvas, that I would defeat the forces of evil. And for the next 10 years of my life, I suffered the consequences, with autoimmunity, illness, and psychosis. As I got older, I realized there were no real winners and there were no real losers in psychological warfare. But there were victims and there were students. It wasn't David versus Goliath. It was a pendulum, eternally swaying from the dark to the light. And the more intensely that the light shone, the darker the shadow it cast. It was never really a battle for me to win. It was an eternal dance. And like a dance, the more rigid I became, the harder it got. The more I cursed my clumsy footsteps, the more I struggled. So I got older, and I learned to relax. And I learned to soften, and that dance got easier. It is this eternal dance that separates human beings from angels, from demons, from gods. And I must not forget, we must not forget, that we are human beings.
I can just remember I was just sitting there, probably speechless for a good 15 seconds. Like, what did I just watch, you know? What was this? So, before I jump off here, I'll show you. All right. So, y'all see this little bookshelf here? That bookshelf there. Let's do this. There you go. See that bookshelf? That's what I started studying before I went to school. Actually, the top row I'm still reading. I got to get to about 40-something books. But I went down this rabbit hole and I studied, and what I realized is that the industry was suffering from this self-inflicted wound when it came to the devaluation of music as a standalone product. It was really easy when it happened to point the finger at Napster and the internet and go, oh, that's why, you know. But I think that was really just one of the causational, that was the scab. That was the wound, the visible wound that we could see. I think the real cause of the issue, much like Lyme disease, and ironically enough, I'll touch on this later. I have toxic mold poisoning, and the symptoms are very similar. They both attack the immune system, and I have the issues with eating and your body trying to purge and having allergic reactions to food, and I get cramping. I don't have it nearly, it's not like what Ren went through by any means, but it is something. But anyhow, so this issue that was going on with music and everything, and the reason for my dive and reason at 53 years old I chose to go back to school is I attained this awareness, and I could see the links. I could see what we were doing in the presentation of music and the presentation of live music versus and recorded music that was causing the devaluation in the hearts and minds of our musical audience. And when I seen Ren and I seen this video, I was blown away, because instantly, like, I was processing all of it. I could see every single aspect of branding. I could see all the pillars that he had present. And it took me probably another week of watching it and going back. And then I started making a list. I'm like, this is it. This dude did it. So we'll break that down for you. But it was because I realized and it was even before I seen that video, I was already getting ready and preparing to head off to school. So I could conduct. And what I'm doing is hopefully I'm able to raise the money to come back to school for my master's year, because I'm going to have to pay for this. But I want to conduct a music neuromarketing and branding study that covers the experience and presentation of music in both live venues and both recorded formats, so that we can possibly resurrect some of the value in music. And as all the Renegades know, I mean, I went out and I bought 2 Ren CDs, still in the cellophane. I ain't gonna open those things. And Ren, if you do see this, I'm telling you, I'm going to tell you again. And if I ever get to meet you, I'm going to tell you again and again and again until you make them, because I want them. There needs to be DVDs of your videos. I don't know if you want to do it by year or how you want to do it, but that is the format that, in my heart, and I know most of your audience, that we really care about you, you know. And I know you like to be careful because you're not that, you know, capitalistic about things. You want to be, and I get that. But even if I got to come out of pocket and pay for it myself, something's got to happen there, man, because that's the thing that I really want. I want to be like, you know, like if I ever had kids or passed it along to someone, like, no, this is the way you got to experience Ren. So anyhow, let's get into the branding breakdown. So according to, well, before I do that, I'm going to touch on 2 things. Sorry, but they're very important. Number 1, it's not just about Martin Lindstrom's books. I read all those books, and I want to show you guys something here. I'm going to grab the camera, and I'm going to point it down here at the floor. These are all the books that I know that there are concepts that right out of those books that are in that video. Now, I don't know if Ren read all these books. I doubt it. It's possible, because I know he's a reader, but I think Ren is the kind of person that recognizes patterns and everything, as he said in, what is that, Heretic? Another banger, another one of my favorites. But let me grab this and let me show you guys down here. So this is the stack of Ren relative books. Oh, those are for the toxic mold syndrome and stuff over there. But this is everything that has to do with Ren. And to see that, and I don't mean with Ren, I mean that single video. All that, there's concepts and flawless execution in this one song. So my mind was blown. And that's why I chose to go off to school, because I'm like, we got to do this neuromarketing study and get this stuff right. But so the other thing I want to say is, if you think you're going to watch this video and be able to extract enough, if you're a musician or in any sort of business, and you think this is going to be enough for you to master branding without cracking books, I got news for you. And I'm going to call it, well, I already explained it to musicians and artists that I work with. I call it the Tony Hawk syndrome. You can live next door to Tony Hawk for 10 years. You can go over to his house, you can go over to his half pipe, and you can hang out with him every day for 10 years. And you can milk and extract everything that he is doing with his body at every microsecond during a maneuver. At the end of that 10 years, you're not getting on a skateboard, dropping in and doing a 720 5 foot out. It's not happening. You have to pay for it in flesh. And the same is true with pure knowledge. It is one thing to hear a concept, but if you don't read it and you don't beat it into your existence in a multi-sensory way, just like trauma. Sometimes with trauma, when people are getting treatment, they have to go through this physical process of shaking and acting this thing out before they can let go, because their molecules, their very anatomy on a biological level remembers it. There's science projects that have proven water, a single molecule of water, has a memory. So that's what you're dealing with when you're talking about applying this knowledge. So I'm going to give you a glimpse of what Ren's branding is. And I I'm going to try to do it in respect and not give away his secret sauce. The worst thing you could do would be to go out and copy someone. So that's number one. And then number two, this is now we're starting to deal with high Ren, or one of Ren's strategies. You notice that he's all about the live one take videos, and he does them regularly. And this is a great and brilliant strategy. And it was the reason that I took up guitar playing. I did that after Ren. And I decided at this point to study music because I had a long backwards way into music. So I started out taking piano lessons. I grew up in a really rough neighborhood, and coming home from music lessons about 3 months into it, I was still at Mary Had a Little Lamb and stuff like that in junior high. The neighborhood bully caught me, punched me in the eye, threw my piano book in a puddle, and told me if he ever caught me, caught me with another, it was a slur. It was a slur that gets people in trouble these days. Making fun of, I didn't have manhood at age 13 or whatever I was, but, basically saying that, I was a homosexual. And if he caught me with it again, he'd beat me up. And plus the music teacher, I went in there to learn how to play, the intro to Van Halen's 1984 and synth parts, and they had me on Mary Had a Little Lamb, and I was over that. But anyhow, long story short, so I went into synthesis, sampling, sound design, engineering, opened up a few studios, and then went to engineering school in Arizona, got my degree there, had a record deal, and then I ended up working for a short time as a personal assistant to Lenny Kravitz's first manager, who was Steven Smith at Abbey Entertainment. And then eventually ended up at Guitar Center Hollywood. And that's important to all this experience and branding stuff, because at that position, I was the vent guy who the industry's top elite talents, production talents and managers, A&R, you name it, would come through that store. And all we did all day is talk about how the industry worked and what was best and what were the do's and don'ts. And when I started doing this homework, all those golden nuggets came back and really caused me to dig deeper in certain areas when I recognized certain connections. So Ren, with this one-take video, has answered, and with his one-take video approach, has answered something. The audience of music lovers, the vast majority of us, have become completely jaded on music. Anything that we hear that's overproduced, we don't trust. Is it AI? We know there's auto-tune. We know there's this. We know there's that. They fix the bass parts. They fix the drum parts, or it's all electronics. We don't really trust all that. So by him doing kind of a scaled back production with his live performances, just a raw sort of approach, he establishes an intimate connection where we're able to believe our ears and our eyes. There's no cuts. We know what is happening. He did, and he can play, which captivates us. And that is the true special sauce of music, is the goosebump moment that you get from being in the moment with an artist. There's a lot of things that come in to be obstacles in that, but that is what that is all about. It is truly about whether or not we get goosebumps. So let's get into Ren's formula here, and let's break this down a little bit. So we have the first thing that Martin Lindstrom talks about. He identifies these 10 pillars. So there's a clear vision. Ren's clear vision is sick boy. Now, any one of these pillars can be multiple things, and you can pivot and exit out of something if you're a band or a business at a later time and date. But that's Ren's clear vision. So his sense of belonging is when, and ICP did the same thing as Ren did. He didn't name the Renegades or the Renaissance. They named themselves. He just encourages it and plays into it. So there's that sense of belonging. But then there's the sense of belonging in high Ren of being in a wheelchair or being in a hospital gown. That is a position that most human beings have experienced at least once or twice in their life. Some more than others. His stories, obviously, that whole dialogue throughout the song, not only is it one big story, but there's multiple stories within stories in that. You know, it goes back and forth. The break the fourth wall theme, that becomes a story. Ren sits down. You know, he wants to write a song. It's filled with that. And when there are stories happening, we perk up and we intensely pay attention. And then you can get into his story as you go along and get into Joe and what happened with his friends. And then you get into, you know, his Lyme disease and what he went through there. So that's number 3, stories. Evangelism. Well, Ren being the kind of artist that he is, the YouTube reactors love him. And the Renegades, we love him because the first thing we do when we watch it, you know, and I had only done this with a few groups before seeing Ren. I did it with some Beastie Boys, and then from time to time I would do it with this group or that group and want to see how people would react to different songs. The other one that I was real big on, I went down the rabbit hole, was, Black Betty, Ram Jam. You know, great song, because no one was ever expecting it. I love seeing that. You know, you'd watch that video and you'd see those guys and like, what hippie mess are we about to get into now? And they just kill that track. Okay, so, but he also was really kind by going on to the YouTube community and commenting and inviting those guys in, and he cultivated that. But in his videos and in his music, there's enough going on there to really drive a strong interest. Okay, so now Grandeur. So with regular mentions throughout his song, well, the first one is his guitar playing right when he comes in. By busting that little flex and the way he opens up that song, that's a little bit of Grandeur. Using the impact font, that's Grandeur. When he is wheeled in by the pig mask, that's also a moment of grandeur. There's kind of a special treatment going on there. He has grandeur when he mentions the names of Eminem and Oprah, and when the dark side is attacking him, wants to be the next Jimi Hendrix. Also the guilt by association thing. So then we move on to Mystique. So with Mystique, I mean, you've got the mystery of who's wearing the pig mask. Why are they wearing the pig mask? What does that symbolize? And then you have the decrepit setting of that building, which causes nothing but mystery. It's a story, it's a sensory appeal, and it's very possible he aggravated his Lyme disease with mold poisoning being in there, because it looks like there's black mold growing in the corners of that. You gotta watch out for that, Ren. If indeed there was black mold there. But anyhow, and that's really what killed Brittany Murphy, is black mold. When you watch the documentary, Who Killed Brittany Murphy, and you see her husband talking in their living room, and you look back on the wall, and there's black mold like this high on the wall. As soon as I seen it, I'm like, oh, that's what killed her. It's deadly. I've got a shorter lifespan because I have it. I know that. But anyhow, yeah, the mystique. He fills his videos with mystique. So then we go on to symbols. So the first symbol is the pig mask. Then you got the wheelchair. Then you've got the gown, which is sensory appeal, wheelchair. It's a story. And then he's also wearing the cross and the hoop in his separate ears, which become juxtaposition or enemies, as well as a symbol. And then we get into the rituals. So this carries on in many of his videos. How many start out with the pig mask? That's become a ritual. One of his other rituals are starting with the big bold print, whether it's Impact, and a couple other ones he's used other fonts. But that's a ritual that we've now come to expect from Ren, as well as some of the one-take concept. But that doesn't have to happen all the time, as like any of his animated videos and the latest one, which I gotta say, so the latest Troubles, song's good, not my favorite, but it's songs vibe with you or they don't, but I've got like 30 favorites of Ren, so it's not like he's missing the mark at all. But I think he's now gonna be stuck with what George Lucas. He's the George Lucas of the music world, because his bar is so high. It's like insane what our expectations from him with everything out. Now, a lot of times he nails it. Back on 74, woo! I mean, I think everyone had to cool down after that. It was like, oh, dude, are you serious? He killed it. McKay, amazing, So having just an edited video like that, I get it. It's fine. It's great. And other people resonate with it. It's not a ding in his armor. It's just for him to win approval every time out, it's going to be impossible. And with like Money Game 3 and High Ren, the bars are so high. But he surprises me, because after High Ren, I remember when I commented on the video, I'm like, dude, you're never going to... Don't beat yourself up if you never accomplish that again, because what you did with High Ren is so extraordinary. I don't ever see anyone ever getting close to that. And then he drops Money Game 3, which may not be right there, but it's close. He nailed it. So, all right. So, rituals. He's got the pig mask. He's got the Impact fonts. He does the song sets a lot. The Money Game 1, 2, 3, and it's just, Money Game 1, 2, and 3, and then Love Music 1, 2, 3, and 4. My favorite's got to be 3, man. Three's thumping. Bam, 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 bam. We all, come on, man. He just drops it. He goes off on that one. But then one of the other things that he's great with doing is he films in public spaces, in common areas, and it's something we look forward to. And also Goosebumps, man. He's got that down. Now, I do know a secret production technique about Goosebumps, and I want to say the person I learned about it from, Jimmy Bowen, I think. He's like this. He looked like Captain Lou Albano. He's this old timer that used to come in GC Hollywood, and he caught me. I was doing a test for a Telefunken U48, a match pair, and it was actually the lead singer the lead guitar player for In Living Color. I can't think of his name. But the band Living Color, a Cult of Personality. His kid needed some operation, and I had to do the street buy on it. And I still feel bad about that, because I'm not the one that determined the price on that. Guitar Center buys a certain way, and that's what we got to do. and I wanted to help him out in any way he could because it was his kid got in an accident or needed some kind of surgery or something. But anyhow, Jimmy Bowen, yeah, he caught me in that moment of hearing that mic for the first time, and then he came in and told me about the goosebump moment and how, like, Frank Sinatra would engineer it, essentially. I'm not sharing that with you right now. That's one of the aspects of the game that you got to pay for. I had to earn that by being there. Anyhow, yeah. And then there's the surprising nature of his music, where every song is a new musical experience, and he does so many things that are surprising throughout. The tone that he chooses to do those, the choral calling in the beginning, that's a surprising moment. When he drops the music out, that's a surprising moment. When he shifts up his flow every 4 bars or 8 bars, and that's a surprising thing. His music is filled, as well as his videos, with musical surprises. When he Game 3, when he grabs the camera, stop the music, another surprising moment. So, and then, the last one was flow switches. I covered up that. So, and then from there, it's sensory appeal. So you got the hospital gown, you got the environments that he chooses. He uses the hallway acoustics and the acoustics in the rooms like he did in the Tales of Jenny and Screech. And most specifically in that one, it was Violet's Tale. And then he, like the knocking on the door in Violet's Tale. That's also a sensory appeal. That's a visceral moment that we've all experienced. Someone knocking on our door. The food at the beginning of Genesis, that's a sensory appeal. Even the use of regular household lamps or something that inspires a sensory appeal because we've all interacted with them. His regularly mentioning the candy bar Toblerone. Someone told me about their theory on why that's in there. And if it's true, man, I don't know. Maybe there's medical help. I mean, I guess if it's large, it doesn't matter what it's shaped like. I cannot imagine anyone caring, but I don't know, if it causes anxiety or something, I don't know, maybe there's something you can do, tape it up or something and put it in a mold every night. I don't know, but, so anyhow, yeah. And then, the eat my words and fill your belly, alphabety, spaghetti, animal flow. Yeah. And then finally, enemies or juxtaposition. So from right at the start, you have the 2 different types of playing, and then when he gets into the characters, looking one way, looking the other, and everything matches those performances and the switch, it's totally juxtaposed, and you have the enemies, you have all that symbolized perfectly in there. So, and then with other songs, he juxtapositions himself against capitalism or against the 7 sins or against the healthcare system, So that's the branding pillar breakdowns. And if you dig into Martin's work and you apply it to your songwriting, and you get these 10 pillars. What I would advise is you want to look at religious ceremonies, especially a wedding. The cake is a symbol. It's sensory appeal. There's grandeur. There's something special. And here's what I want to say about music before I leave you guys with this. So when you present your music, you need to present it like, ta-da! It's something special. And just like a wedding reception, there's a lot of analogies that have to do with the process of building fame and brand value that relate back to the wedding. And I'll give you a couple of them before I get off. So the first one is the grandeur. When you announce your wedding, you send out an invitation and you put an announcement in the paper. We're way into the digital age, all right? And this music industry, anyone out there who might be watching this, listen to this part. How many years into digital email and special announcements and all that are we? 20 now? But yet, if someone's getting married, guess what shows up in the snail mail? A physical invitation. It's still relevant today because it's an important part of the ritual process. And this is when I started to clue in that there are methods that can be used to build value back into music. You have to treat it special. When you treat music as workaday, look at the social experiment. I apologize because I forget the world-renowned, I think he was a violinist that played, was it Carnegie or New York City Music Hall? And he had it sold out for 3 or 4 dates. And then he did the social experiment where he went in the subway and played there and he barely got any tips. I think it was $20-something or something. But when you present yourself at the same level as the trash can, you train your audience to perceive you at that level. All right? And it's essential in publicity and in fame generation that you present yourself at the right level if you want people to care about it. Because as much good that came from the DIY and grunge era of music, with shaking up the industry and everything that's happened since, there's bad that came from it because we lost those talented people, the old timers who were institutions who had all this already figured out. It took me 10 years sitting on the couch with everyone I knew thinking I was crazy. Dude, what are you doing? You're never going to amount to anything. And it caused a lot of issues in me during those time periods because they didn't get it. Like, dude, if you guys think I'm staying here, I had to take care of my dad who had dementia, and I did, and I was honored to do so. And I made him and my mom's life way better by doing that. But I knew when that was all over, I was going on and I was going to get back to my life and I was going to come back with a vengeance because I was doing my homework. But back to the point at hand. Present as if it means something. And the other thing I want to cover is how you build brand value and how it works with music and musicians. Now, I'm going to jump to this other screen real quick because I want you to see this. One of the biggest mistakes that's made in this industry for artists who are trying to come out of their local scene and build a ground floor. Now, with every rule, there are always exceptions, but you almost have to be a person of mastery to know whenever to bend those rules, or you have to just instinctively get it right, like ICP did with their branding. And I almost think that's more genius that they did it without studying. I would love to interview them, but I'm pretty sure that it was because of their proximity and their love for backyard wrestling and pro wrestling that they were just able to kind of just flow into all the right decisions. And I could break their branding down on another one of these, maybe, I don't know, we'll see. But anyhow, so the thing I want to bring up here, and I'm going to jump over. Yeah, so your brand equity is like a hot air balloon. Oops. All right, you see that question? How often should a band play in a city, right? This is Googleable. You see what that says there? 3 to 4 times a year max. Now, let me explain that. Okay, so, and this is for any artists who are emerging or at the local club venue. The way your brand value works is, picture a hot air balloon. And with everything that you do, with every ounce of marketing, and what your marketing is your marketing is every touch point. It's every business card, every song, every video, every interview, every in-store, every performance, every party. Every time your audience has contact with you, that's marketing. Okay? So what happens with every piece of marketing that you do in an area, it's like a burst of hot air that goes into the balloon to fill it up until you have enough hot air built up to lift you up and take you to where you want to go. And this is related to a radius clause in contracts. And this is one of the things that people don't understand. And when they start venting and attacking the industry as this dark, monstrous thing, which it has been sometimes, the industry has earned some shady reputation, but it's not always shady, because a lot of times it's just the ignorance of the artist and them just believing that because they're so insanely talented that everyone's going to kiss their ass forever, and they don't learn the rules and they get into a position. But anyhow, it's a hot air balloon. Let me stay off the rant. So everything you do is a burst of hot air. Now, the second you do a show, especially a special presentation show, you deflate that air balloon back down to nothing, because you've used up all the emotional hot air that you have in that marketplace. And that's why if you play Lollapalooza or something, their contract comes with a radius clause that prevents bands from playing 6 months ahead of time in a 300-mile radius up to 4 months after that date, because they want all the fans to come see them at that show and get their maximum value and maximum draw. And it's as much to protect the bands, because what happens when bands play in most cities? Now, before I answer this part, I'm going to give you the exception to the rule. There's the cutting your teeth stage of developing your act. All right? What that consists of is when you, as an artist, need to get your chops and you need to play somewhere. With most emerging bands back in the day, they would get put on regional tours, and they would go out and they would rotate and rotate and rotate until they were good enough to be able to, be booked into different cities. And it's not wise, but you can have a residency, especially a lot of like EDM DJs and stuff like that. If the night is doing the heavy lifting of the brand, if it's goth night, then it's about the goth music and not about the artist appeal. You can have a successful goth night somewhere week in, week out. But for most bands at this day and age, it's almost impossible to build a residency. And what you see happen in most local venues, one of the first things, the two most important words, this, if you don't know, you need to know. Listening pleasure. For the music business, if you're going to have any success at all, listening pleasure. And what is the experience at my guess, and from working Guitar Center and selling systems to venues after venues and then being invited out to those venues, I've seen it over and over. What you get is loud, obnoxious sound, and it's something I experience all the time, being 6'2.5", is I walk in and the horns are aimed right here at my ears, and I get decapitated by the highs all night long because the DJ is 5'0" and he never got on a chair to hear how it sounded up there where me. Plus, if there's DJs, half the time they're half deaf because they got the headphones cranked. Oh yeah, I don't need this anymore. So, but anyhow, long story short there. So listening pleasure is rule number one. But what happens? So let's go back to the brand value. So a band is emerging, and they haven't played anywhere but house parties yet, and they got a crew of about 50 to 100 people who really love them, and they come out and they support them. They do this amazing thing, you know, like, oh, here we are, you know, check out our show, and they bring out 50 to 100 people, first show. And the venue's first reaction is, hey, man, these guys were great. Let's book them in again next month. And then they show up next month, and they might have, like if they brought in, say, 75 people, they might have 60, you know. And then the month after that, they get booked in again. Now they got 50. And within a year, the band is down to maybe 5 people showing up, plus a roadie or a couple of girlfriends. There's infighting within the band because they don't know what happened. They can't figure out what happened to our audience. We're doing better songs now. They're just not showing up. And that's what happens. And here's the analogy. So a wedding is one of the best branded events that we've all experienced. So you got a great friend, and you get an invitation in the mail to come out to their wedding. And you do. You're there, you show up for your boy, it's a good time, you know what you're getting. Cake, food, dancing, DJ, music, drunkenness, free booze, the party's on. You go. So now, a couple weeks later, you get another invitation in the mail. They're renewing their vows. What are you thinking? What are you thinking? Thinking, that's odd. All right, I'll show up. So you go again. There might be a few people that aren't there. It's a good time, you know. Go home, doing your life, and another invitation comes up. They're renewing their vows again. Now what are you thinking? Dude, MFer, I got a life. You know, I'm not trying to come to your crazy, weird wedding stuff all the time. No, that's not what I'm doing. I got other things to do with my life. That is how bands and the music industry are eating itself. That's one of the ways, one of the at least 1,000 ways that I can think of off the top of my head that there's this mass misunderstanding. And it's one of the things that I had to do this video for, is to share that information. And I think if Ren were to see this, he would probably agree that there's so many of these things that people keep doing to just kill their dream, and the industry does, to kill the dream and kill the value, because they don't take the time and do the homework. You got to do the homework. But anyhow, so that's the branding breakdown on Hi Ren. And I just want to personally say, hey, man, if that dude ever sees this, thank you, man. I needed that at that moment in my life. I needed that song. And I got to tell you, this weird thing happened to me because I think deep down inside me as an artist, I knew that was possible. I knew that song was out there somewhere. And I think I was trying to chase it. And the weirdest thing happened. The second I seen it, I relaxed. I was like, someone else, they put their flag up there. I don't have to worry about it. I can just have fun. I can just learn how to do music and, you know, do what I want to do. But for that and so many other songs and so many of the cool things that you've done for everyone, hi, Ren. And if you ever want to speak to students of the entertainment industry, and I think you, Ren, if you do hear this, you are someone they need to hear from, because I'm at that school, man, and I'm listening to some of these people talk, and they don't know what they're doing. They haven't figured it out. They haven't done their homework. Or let me correct that. There are some of them. And there are other ones who have done their homework and then some. But they just haven't connected all the dots for where we are right now. And that's important because it's about where we are as a civilization right now. And that is one of the key things that Ren and his music keeps doing, is you keep dropping topics on us that are perfectly right now because you're going through it. But anyhow, for all that, man, thanks. I can't wait for more. I don't know if I'm going to do live reactions. I'm not going to do a lot of giving away your secret sauce. I feel like I've gone a little overboard on that, even with this. And I hope you're okay with it, man, because you're the last person on the planet that I want to offend or hurt. I am so grateful and so filled with gratitude and humility for what you're doing. But anyhow, on that, Renegades, have a great one. I don't know how long this was, but I hope to see you guys in the future. And if you want, my band is Blue Midnight Highway. I'm just now starting to do pretty good music. One song came out, and it's a real basic, is thrown together music, but it was when my voice showed up. But it's out on this channel, Halfway Home. That's my first real good. I mean, I got a couple others that are in I think they're all right, but musically, I wasn't that great a musician. I'm a good producer, but not great musician, but that's what I'm aspiring to and working hours a day. So anyhow, on that note, good night, everyone. Thank you, and feel free to hit me with questions, but I'm not giving it away. This cost me 10 years on the couch, and the game is to be sold and not told. And there's a deep reason for that, because nobody values what they get for free. And that's more on the person who wants to acquire the knowledge than the person who has the knowledge. Once you start learning, you're eager to hand out knowledge. And the first lesson you learn is that people don't listen. They are not trying to hear anything about what you think they should do. So, anyhow, on that note, good night all. I'm Scars MacNeil. Bye.